All right, let's jump into it and let's talk about this. Let's talk about why Tony Harrison state does not drop after the Charlo loss that he just suffered on PBC. First of all, Tony Harrison was entertaining, and the Charlo brothers were entertaining. From the pre-fight all the way to through the fight, through the post-fight. I mean, they talked a good amount of trash talk. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was hyped up. It was set. The stage was set for them to go out and do their thing. Tip, much respect to Charlo for being that line that he really is, because so much was on the line for him. You know what I mean? And I think that this fight was a statement fight for them, that the Charlos are here. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, just imagine if he had a loss, you know what I mean? Everything was on the line, for Charlo. But Tony Harrison, he had everything to gain again. You know what I mean? And just to prove that first fight was not a fluke. And one of the things that really surprised me was the fact that he actually boxed up Charlo, pretty much all the way up until that 11th round. Now, when you look at the way that Charlo came into that fight, he came in there head hunting. He wanted Tony head. He wanted it. And he was just digging and looking for that, that knockout shot. And he just couldn't find it. Tony was boxing him up, touching him up. And that's another thing that, that you want to think about sometimes when you got guys that's got that type of style, where they're going to fight Mexican style, and they coming out, looking for the knockout, and they fighting a guy that's going to box them up. Sometimes these guys with these great boxing skills may have the edge, over that power and knockout skill that their opponents have. And it definitely showed with Tony. And I think maybe that's why he got so confident with thinking that he was going to pull out that victory, and showboating the way that he did. It was crazy. It was so fun to watch, though. You know what I mean? He kept you glued to the TV. And I see why that PBC event had 2 million, over 2 million views, just because, you just felt the energy come from both fighters. You know what I mean? They knew, Charlo wanted it, and he wanted it. And Charlo is a dog. He proved a lot, man. The Charlo brothers, they superstars right now. After that PBC event, they were superstars before then, but this event, you know what I mean? You definitely checking, for the Charlo brothers, their next fight. You tuning in. I don't care who they fighting. If it's, you know what I mean? If it ain't a game opponent, or if it is, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You tuning the fuck in, because after that performance, they here. So, and I feel like Tony Harrison ain't far out of that conversation. Even though he did take the L, a trilogy fight, he could possibly win that shit. You know what I'm saying? The way that he performed, in his second fight and did so well boxing Charlo up, I don't know if that was the game plan, for Charlo just to come out and say, fuck it, I'm knocking him out. I'm finna take him out. You know what I mean? But I do give the edge to being a superior boxer to Tony Harrison, and he proved that, you know what I mean? And I mean, the shit was lit all the way out from the time he walked out, and it's one thing. I like to see these fighters come out with these rappers, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the stage is set, man. It was a great night of fights. And, I see why, it's such a huge turnout with so many views, because it was just epic, you know what I mean? And one thing about it, though, we checking for Tony Harrison, too. I don't know who his next opponent may be, but whoever it is, they better look out. You know what I'm saying? Because I think he's here, too. I think that he should be in the conversation. And if it's a trilogy fight, the shit could be epic and another huge one, and it could be even bigger. You know what I'm saying? So just, tip our hat off to both fighters. They did their thing. Big shout out to Charlo for, getting his belt back. And Tony Harrison just for, being him and being here now and letting the boxing world know who he is, because, he is that guy now. So, let's see what happens.